tread should be evenly worn, and you should have no less than 4/32 of an inch of tread on your steer tire. Now I'm going to move on to my metal valve stem. Metal valve stem is properly mounted and secured, no missing nuts or bolts, not cracked, bent, or broken, no cuts, no frays, no leaks, and the cap is in place. Moving to my rim. It is properly mounted and secured, no missing nuts or bolts, not cracked, bent, or broken, no cuts, no frays, no leaks, no illegal welds. Moving on to my lug nuts. They're all properly mounted and secured, not missing any nuts or bolts, not cracked, bent, or broken, no cuts, no frays, no leaks, no shiny threads or rust trails. Moving to my hub seal. It's properly mounted and secured, no missing nuts or bolts, not cracked, bent, or broken, no cuts, no frays, no leaks. Check for proper level through the sight glass. Any questions so far? Alright, moving to the side of the cab. Start at the top and work my way down. Talk about my mirrors. My mirrors are properly mounted and secured, no missing nuts or bolts, not cracked, bent, or broken, no cuts, no frays, no leaks, no illegal stickers. Moving on to my door. It's properly mounted and secured, no missing nuts or bolts, not cracked, bent, or broken, no cuts, no frays, no leaks. Check that it opens and closes properly. Next, I'm going to check my door seal. Your door seal, properly mounted and secured, no missing nuts or bolts, not cracked, bent, or broken, no cuts, no frays, no leaks. Then I'm going to check my door hinges. They are properly mounted and secured, no missing nuts or bolts, not cracked, bent, or broken, no cuts, no frays, no leaks. Working top to bottom, and check my side marker lights. Properly mounted and secured, no missing nuts or bolts, not cracked, bent, or broken, no cuts, no frays, no leaks, and its proper color. Moving on to the fuel tank. Your fuel tank, it's not a gas tank, it's a fuel tank. It's properly mounted and secured, no missing nuts or bolts, not cracked, bent, or broken, no cuts, no frays, no leaks. I'm going to check the cap to make sure the rubber seal is in place. Rubber seal should be properly mounted and secured, no missing nuts or bolts, no cracked, bent, or broken, no cuts, no frays, no leaks, and the cap should be tight. Moving to the back of the cab. Back of the cab, I'm going to check my lights and reflectors. They're properly mounted and secured, no missing nuts or bolts, not cracked, bent, or broken, no cuts, no frays, no leaks, and are a proper color. We'll talk about my exhaust system. It's properly mounted and secured, no missing nuts or bolts, not cracked, bent, or broken, no cuts, no frays, no leaks. Leaks would be indicated by black soot trails. We'll move and talk about my catwalk and steps. My catwalk and steps are properly mounted and secured, no missing nuts or bolts, not cracked, bent, or broken, no cuts, no frays, no leaks, and are free of obstruction. And now I'm going to talk about my frame. My frame, properly mounted and secured, no missing nuts or bolts, not cracked, bent, or broken, no cuts, no frays, no leaks, no illegal welds. From here you can see the drive shaft and U-joints. Runs down the center of the frame. Your drive shaft and your U-joints. They are properly mounted and secured, no missing nuts or bolts, not cracked, bent, or broken, no cuts, no frays, no leaks, no foreign debris. Moving on, we're going to talk about our mud flaps and splash guards. They are properly mounted and secured, no missing nuts or bolts, not cracked, bent, or broken, no cuts, no frays, no leaks, and are not dragging the ground. From here, you're going to move on to your suspension parts, brake parts, and wheels. It is exactly the same as it was on the front, with the exception of the tread depth on the tires. So first, you're going to talk about your spring mounts. Spring mounts, properly mounted and secured, no missing nuts or bolts, not cracked, bent, or broken, no cuts, no frays, no leaks. Moving on to my leaf springs. properly mounted and secured. No missing nuts or bolts, not cracked, bent, or broken. No cuts, no frays, no leaks, and are not misaligned. My U-bolts, properly mounted and secured. No missing nuts or bolts, not cracked, bent, or broken. No cuts, no frays, no leaks. Shock absorber airbags, properly mounted and secured. No missing nuts or bolts, not cracked, bent, or broken. No cuts, no frays, no leaks, and are properly inflated. We're going to talk about your braking system from this point. Talk about your air and electrical lines. They are properly mounted and secured. No missing nuts or bolts, not cracked, bent, or broken. No cuts, no frays, no leaks. Brake chamber, properly mounted and secured. No missing nuts or bolts, not cracked, bent, or broken. No cuts, no frays, no leaks. Slack adjuster and push rod, properly mounted and secured. No missing nuts or bolts, not cracked, bent, or broken. No cuts, no frays, no leaks. Should not move more than 1 inch when pulled by hand and the brakes are off. Moving to the brake drums and linings, properly mounted and secured. No missing nuts or bolts, not cracked, bent, or broken. No cuts, no frays, no leaks. No oil, grease, or other contaminants. No excessive bluing, and should not be worn dangerously thin, less than 1/4 inch. Moving to your tires. Inflation, condition, and depth. Inflation, properly mounted and secured. No missing nuts or bolts, not cracked, bent, or broken. No cuts, no frays, no leaks. I'm going to check proper inflation with a tire gauge. Should be no less than 100 psi. Check my inner and outer sidewalls. No cuts, bulges, or gouges. Back here you've got 2 wheels instead of just the one, so you've got to check your spacing between the tires. We call this bud spacing. Going to check your bud spacing. It's properly spaced. No foreign objects in between the tires, and the tires are not touching. Moving to the outside, we'll check our metal valve stem. It's properly mounted and secured. No missing nuts or bolts, not cracked, bent, or broken. No cuts, no frays, no leaks. The rim itself, properly mounted and secured. No missing nuts or bolts, not cracked, bent, or broken. No cuts, no frays, no leaks, and no illegal welds. We check all of our lug nuts. They are properly mounted and secured. No missing nuts or bolts, not cracked, bent, or broken. No cuts, no frays, no leaks. No shiny threads and no rust trails. Check my axle seal. Properly mounted and secured. No missing nuts or bolts, not cracked, bent, or broken. No cuts, no frays, no leaks. Check proper level through sight glass. Right here are your airbags that we were talking about on your suspension. They are properly mounted and secured. No missing nuts or bolts, not cracked, bent, or broken. No cuts, no frays, no leaks, and are properly inflated. Moving to the back of the tractor.
Can you see it?
Right here, goes between the frame. Looks like a dog bone. That is your torque arm. Your torque arm is properly mounted and secured. No missing nuts or bolts, not cracked, bent, or broken. No cuts, no frays, no leaks. While we're back here, we're going to check all of our lights and reflectors. You got reflectors, reverse and indicator lights, a reverse light, and a tag light. They are properly mounted and secured. No missing nuts or bolts, not cracked, bent, or broken. No cuts, no frays, no leaks, and of proper color. All right, let's slide out of here. We'll talk about the coupling system. Coupling system starts with your air lines. Your air lines and electrical lines. You've got your blue service line. Electrical line is green. Your red emergency line. From the cab to the trailer, they are properly mounted and secured, not missing any nuts or bolts, not cracked, bent, or broken, no cuts, no frays, no leaks, and are not rubbing anywhere on the tractor. They can't be laying down here on the catwalk rubbing.
I forgot that.
So your coupling system starts with your air lines. We're going to talk about your apron. It's the metal plate that your kingpin is attached to. It's the whole nose of the trailer. Big metal skid plate on the bottom of the trailer. This is your apron. Your apron properly mounted and secured, no missing nuts or bolts, not cracked, bent, or broken, no cuts, no frays, no leaks. Moving to my platform.
Thank you.
Your platform is this piece of angle iron right here. It mounts the fifth wheel to the tractor. Your platform is properly mounted and secured, no missing nuts or bolts, not cracked, bent, or broken, no cuts, no frays, no leaks. My mounting bolts for the platform are properly mounted and secured, no missing nuts or bolts, not cracked, bent, or broken, no cuts, no frays, no leaks. This tractor does not have locking pins for the fifth wheel. This fifth wheel does not slide. But if it did have locking pins, they would be properly mounted and secured, no missing nuts or bolts, not cracked, bent, or broken, no cuts, no frays, no leaks, and the pins are locked securely in place. I'm going to check my fifth wheel release handle. Fifth wheel release handle is properly mounted and secured, no missing any nuts or bolts, not cracked, bent, or broken, no cuts, no frays, no leaks, and is securely locked in place. I'm going to check my fifth wheel skid plate. It's properly mounted and secured, no missing nuts or bolts, not cracked, bent, or broken, no cuts, no frays, no leaks, and is properly lubricated. I'm going to check between my fifth wheel skid plate and my apron. There should be zero gap. Move to the back of the fifth wheel. We're going to check. Slide under here. Back under here at the back of the fifth wheel. You're going to check that your locking jaws are